Welcome to the Dr. Char Holistic Health Show. We have a really interesting topic we're going to be discussing in this show. And we'll be talking about how healthy is your home you live in. We're going to be talking about things that you wouldn't even know, or it's seldom in the newspaper or in the news, but they do exist. We're talking about toxic rays, means poisonous rays, do harm to your health. It's Earth cosmic man-made radiation and its effect on your living system. Let me explain that to you. There was an incident where a family lived in Waipahu, and whenever it rained, the basement would get filled with water. But that family had a lot of illnesses, especially the elder ones. They started getting cancer. And no matter what they did, what kind of supplements or what kind of health food products they went through all the chemotherapy, radiation, they could not get better. And one of the things that somebody came along and says, maybe it's your house. It always feels damp, it's chilly, it's cold. And then on a very sunny day, they felt still a chill in the house. So they decided to sell the house and move to Aiea, from Waipahu to Aiea. And all of a sudden, they started to feel better, and some of the illnesses started to improve with natural supplementation, as well as the traditional medicine. The people that bought the house, they had no previous illnesses in their family, started to get ill, started to get the colds all the time. The immune system went down, and they was getting all kinds of rash and allergies. Nobody could figure it out. But we could attest to the fact that there was some kind of environmental influences causing a problem with the body's electromagnetic system. And people was getting sick. Now, they've done some numerous studies for the last 100 years, especially in Germany, where they started to find all these different kind of toxic rays. And we're going to be talking about that. So, the first thing we're talking about is geopathic stresses. And you might say, what is that? Geopathic stresses. Well, geopathic stresses is a natural radiation that rises through the earth, and it's distorted by weak electromagnetic fields created by subterranean running water, certain mineral concentrations, fault lines. Fault lines means there's crack in the bottom of the Earth's surface from the core, and it's coming up to the surface. These are called crack lines, and underground cavities. Now, why is it so important that we are concerned with that? Because Hawaii is an area where we got a lot of underground water. We got underground taverns where we get our water and things like that. So there are a lot of things that's happening to us, and we don't even know about it. I'll give you another example. On man-made, they was dumping this toxic radiated waste in the state of New Jersey, in this area. And that was like a landfill. And what happened was, after a while, the people that owned the land now started to sell it for houses. They had houses built on that. And the people moving to those houses started getting sick. And it was like radiated sickness that they had from radiation from the ground. Nobody would know that. Nobody told them that until one of the people living in that community did some research and found out it was a toxic waste dump site. And then people started to do more investigation, and they sued the government. So people started moving out of that area and started to feel better. There's numerous statistics, data that tells you that they had whole community, whole cities that had to be moved away. People were getting sick in this whole community, and they moved away. Then from the town, and people were getting better. So why is it so important for you to understand and know that? Well, as a health practitioner, we find people, there are not many, but there are few people that when you give them all the right, you think the right things, we do the scan, we do a health scan on them, we do a lot of tests on them, we do a lot of medical history, things like that, dental history, and we find out that they're getting better, but there's something that's blocking it. And they really don't get well as fast as we would like to have them do it. And they're doing everything. They're very diligent about doing the things like good, proper exercises, proper sleep, doing nutrition, and all the things that is necessary to keep your immune system healthy. And yet, there is still some block there. And then we started to perceive and say, maybe it's some of the geopathic influences from where they live. And we found out that, yeah, they had a big tower right next to it. In fact, one of my patients had a tower that the city had put in there, unbeknownst to them and the communication center here. And they put a big power tower with all the wires, and they were shocked. Nobody told them. So being that her husband was a big official in the union, they went down to City Hall and the City Council, and they actually threatened to sue him. And so that went on for a while, and pretty soon the city and the communication company removed it. But let me tell you what happened. Was she bought a brand new remote telephone in her house. And she was complaining to her husband. She said, I can't get this right. I mean, this thing doesn't work. He's always giving me static. I can't hear it. And when we cleared the geopathic stresses, the radiative frequencies out from their house, she noticed immediately that she had the phone was working. After a year, the phone was working. She could hear like clearly. And she told two of her sisters, and the sisters came over and told me that, that's a weird thing because this is the first time her phone worked, So now that's particular incidents happen in Hawaii. I mean, these are things that happen all over the world, and we don't even know about it. So we're going to talk about these different radiated lines that crosses could be parallel, could be crossing from east to west, north to south. And you might be one that could be sleeping on that grid line. They call those grid lines. So we're going to talk about there's several different kinds of lines. They're called grid lines. And one is called Hartmann's grid. By Dr. Ernst Hartmann, a German medical doctor, discovered Hartmann's grid in 1950. These lines form a grid around the Earth running north to south, east to west, and it extends to the height of 60 to 600 feet. The north and south line appears approximately every 6 feet 6 inches, and the east-west line appears approximately every 6 feet 2 inches. And when you go ahead and sleep over this grid line, you get a very hard time sleeping. Now, here's an incident that happened in my office years ago. My front office girl was saying, my child, she always crying at night. I can't figure it out. She's always crying at night. I don't know why. She's restless, keeps me up all night. And we finally that's how we started to study these geopathic influence radiation lines. And we says, tell me something. She's in a crib now. When you put her in a crib, which part of the crib do you put her in? She said, well, we put her in the middle. And every morning we see her, she's always around by the bars of the crib on one side, always away, around from there, and she's crying all the time. I said, why don't you go ahead and move the crib to the other side of the room and see what happens? She did, and what happened is the baby slept, didn't have a problem. Now, we're going to tell you about these grid lines because those are important because that's for your health. Okay, and we're going to tell you how you can detect them. Okay, the first line would be you could be what we call Hartman's grill. And so there's different lines coming across the earth, and it goes horizontal, could be diagonal, could be vertical. But what happens is that when this horizontal line crosses over a vertical line, like a cross here, and if your head's there, you can get a lot of mental problems. They even have statistics, I'm going to share that with you, on schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, all these that crosses. And if it crosses over that line and you happen to be sleeping there, laid across that line, but across, and it maybe in your lower part of your body, there are people who have complained about prostate problems, urogenital problems, and or even digestive problems, kidney problems, and all these. So there is that, and I'm going to show you that. So take a look at this picture here. We're going to show you this picture here. And this, we're talking about also curry lines and ley lines. So you look at the picture here, as you can see. Now this picture here, right here, you can see that it's called fissures in soil or rock, escape of gases, negative energy from the earth core. Now you see this one here. Let me see if I can get my pen here. I'll hold this up here like this, and I'll put it right here. Okay, that's line. Okay, so the core goes from the core. There's a crack in the seam, and it actually comes through the earth, and it goes into your house, and it goes straight up, as you can see right here, straight up. And you can be 10 stories high, and it'll go through mortar, it'll go through steel, it'll go through rock and everything. So nothing can protect it. They even did a 2-inch steel barrier between these lines, and it didn't stop it. Okay, that's one of them. The other one could be a water vein. Now we look over here, and here's a water vein coming up from the bottom. See the water vein here? Oh yeah, right in here, a water vein. And it can go up here. And there's a break in the earth's crust, and then it goes all the way up here, and you can see it coming up to this area here. And it goes right through the house. So if you're sleeping, or you have your desk there, or if you spend a lot of time in this area here in the house, you can be affected. And whatever that line crosses that part of your body and is for a prolonged period of time, you can get a disorder or disease from that area, like cancer, different kinds of muscular, neuromuscular problems, things like that, multiple sclerosis, sort of that. And so you can see this crust in here. Now, look at this again, and you can see an area here. Now, this is, say, the man. Can you see the man in here? There's a man here sleeping or lying down right in here. Okay, right in here. And that area, you do find what we call curry bands. So the line's going diagonally across the body, and whatever that line crosses, and you're sleeping there, you're going to have problems like maybe nighttime incontinence, or you might have basically all of a sudden your bladder, you have to go to the bathroom 2-3 times a night. Well, we might suggest that if you keep doing that and you did everything possible to help you along to help you with that problem through medical means or natural means, what happens is that if one of you did a change in the site of your bed, you just try it. Or I'm going to give you some questions for you to, to ponder on to see basically if you have those problems. So another one is called curry lines with water. You can see the line going across here. And then you can see the line going across horizontal line here. So, and the body, you see the person's body, if you can see it good here. And the same way with here. And you go across here, and you can see right here the body's lying here, and the line's going across, and these are curry bands, okay, blockage. So, so what happens is you got to ask yourself some questions. And these questions are, can you remember having felt better or worse when you first moved into your apartment or house? And could be a factory, and could be a place where you work. Did you find that you have more energy and vitality and feel calm and relaxed when you're sleeping away from your house? Are there any members in your family that do not feel good at their bed location? Do you know of any place in your home, perhaps a living room, dining room, family room, or where you feel more comfortable, calm, and relaxed and can concentrate better? How about where you work? At the office or factory, do you feel better in some places than others? Have you ever noticed that you have trouble falling asleep, feel nervous, or develop headaches or sleeping in another bed? Okay, the Chesterfield, couch, or chair in any other place than your regular sleeping place. If you have cats or you have animals, do they persist in sleeping close to a certain part of your body, especially where you have arthritis, rheumatism, cramps, or sciatic? Have you ever noticed that certain rooms in your home always feel cold, damp, dirty, drafty, despite the thermostat being turned up high? Cancer houses are reality. These are homes where cancer has stricken several times in the same bed location or same room. Do you live in one of them? Have you noticed the presence of nests around your house year after year? Ant nests or beehives? Is your basement or home misty or mildewed? Okay. So these are some of the questions you can ask, and there's more, of course. Have you noticed any water coming through concrete floors under your sleeping areas? And do you notice physical problems disappear while on vacation? Have you ever noticed that your television reception has gone haywire after changing the location of your set? Or do you find that your ability to concentrate and comprehend is decreased when reading a book or doing mental work in certain areas of your house or office? Now, how do you detect that? Well, one of the things is if you had an old TV set, like I told you, there's old ones with antenna, and most people have digital now. But if you had that and you had the antenna and you went around the room, somebody helping you, looking at the screen, and all of a sudden you hit a certain spot of your house, and all of a sudden it starts to go, all these static coming around, you move it 1 foot away, it's okay. Or you use an old radio and then you get static in that one particular area. Now, other people have done this because they have equipment out there, but they have to use this as a this. Excuse me. You can see right here they're using a dowsing rod. And a dowsing rod before was used to douse water quite accurately. And why you get a lot of underground water. And so they would put the dowsing, and they find where the dowsing stick would dip. That's where the area where they had underground water coming up to the ceiling. Some other people use muscle testing, where they use the arms called kinesiology. You go to chiropractors or some sports trainer, and they use kinesiology where they would test you on certain areas of the house, and your body will suddenly go weak. Now, how do you fix that? Well, after you find where the area is, you can go underneath the house, if you can crawl underneath the house, and they will get these rebobs, and they will pound the rebobs into the ground with, say, about 4 feet of that thing sticking up on the top. And then it would hit it about 20 times and vibrating it, so the water vein that's coming underneath your house would be diverted. But please, do not go and divert it to your neighbors, because they're not going to like that. They might get the same problem that you might have, and all of a sudden. So you can go ahead and tap that out. So you would go to 4 corners of the house, and you would find where the dowsing rod or where the water is coming in through the ground. And what happens is that you can put the rebobs there, and you can put even a can over it and paint it red. But it sounds kind of weird, but it seems to work. I have it in my house. You see, we found some water veins. And then you'll find that if there is that section where you got a lot of ants or beehives, or the cat like to sleep there, and then all of a sudden it changes, you got it. Okay. Now, there are some other kind of devices out there called electromagnetic frequency devices that people use on their cell phones, they use over the TV sets, they use over the computers. And we're going to talk more about those, and we're going to talk about some animal pets that you don't like. So the cat is one of the things that they say, do not have the cat sleep in your bed, on your bed, or in your room while you're sleeping, because it likes to nestle up against the area of arthritis, rheumatism, and your sciatica, or it's a place where you get pain. That animal, in fact, in Europe, what they've been doing now is using a cat fur to attract the radiation as treatment. So cat is one of them, okay? And the dog's got an inner sense, and the younger child has inner sense where that energy is coming from, and they don't like it, they move away, or they cry, or they move around away from that area, okay? But there are some devices that we are developing right now, and we're testing it right now to see if that would actually make the house feel better, okay? There are things that you can put around your bed that, in fact, they got these electrical coils, and you can curl it and then put it underneath your mattress, and helps with the radiation coming in through from the ground. And when is the worst time? They say about from anywhere from 1 to 4 o'clock, and that's when most people die. They said about that time, because basically the energy is depleted, and especially on a full moon. And they said, why is a full moon? Because the water will expand. For some reason, the water will expand, and the area gets larger. Okay, so anyhow, so some of those things like that you have to be aware of. And if you have any questions, you can call me, and we can go over some of those areas like that. So there are other things that they're man-made, and they'll call that global grids. And you can get a tower around you, or they're going to have some kind of underground wire, or they can have telephone cord wires coming across your body, your area. And if you spend a lot of time there, and all of a sudden, or you say it's a rest place for you, and all of a sudden you don't feel good, then you have to look at that electrical currents coming through. So there are many natural things that can come true, like, for instance, sunspots, eruptions in the solar system. I told you about the moon, the gamma rays, microwave ovens, electromagnetic fields, ley lines, global grids, and natural subterranean water veins, not water pipes, water veins, springs, anomalies in the soil due to radioactive matter, such as slate, rocks. And the rocks can, when the current's coming up, the rocks can be radioactive, okay? And it's bringing that current right into your house. And that's from the nature, from the earthquakes that can happen. And then there's chemical deposited by human hands, like beds, they call it carbon type of beds, clay, especially plastic clay, chalk, iron ores, and negative acting energies from the inner earth escape through pools of oils and gases deposits, and imbalances in the earth magnetic field through fissures and fractures in the rocks. So all these things are just some of those things. And but one of the major things that we have to face in Hawaii is the subterranean groundwater, or springs across where they meet ley lines. And what is ley lines? Ley lines are powerful energy sources coming in from the solar system, and then they come down to the earth. And once they get down to the earth, they go to about 256 feet, and then it actually goes and it hits a point and goes straight across. And when you meet another ley line, that is a strong energy field. And one of the things that we found out, that's Eon Nido and Maui has a ley line. The Easter Islands has a ley line. The different areas of the cannon, they have those are certain areas where you say, oh, they got high energy fields in there, but they can also throw your whole electromagnetic body out. Okay, you can throw it out of balance. And when plants respond to that, the plants will get blotches of different areas where you look at that, and why is the grass doesn't grow there in blotches, different areas, or why do you have tumors on the plants? And you can even stay under there if you're sleeping in that area and develop a lot of tumors. If you get a lot of tumors in your body, you have to start thinking maybe that could be one of the causes if the all else fails in terms of your therapy. Animals will also respond against that. I told you about the ants, and I told you about the bees. You can get rapid aging, reducing sexual desires, weaknesses, and 45% less of offsprings production. Okay, so bearing fruit. So there's many more. We can go on and on, but there's many more than man-made radiations caused from nuclear plants, fallouts, fluorescent lights, color television sets, towers, ovens, radioactive isotopes, food irradiation equipment, medical x-rays equipment, and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you have to be concerned with. I don't want to make you alarm about these things, but there are some things now that over the years of research we have found that we can do something about it. And we're going to be talking about that more on our second show. So because we can't cover all these things right now, and we're going to go and show you ways of how to take care of those things, those grid lines, okay, both man-made and natural lines, okay. And so some people will call it they'll get a person who is Tai Chi master or something, and they'll go into a house and do some feng shui, and they do some feng shui to see if the energy is balancing in anything. And they find basically some areas that are out of balance, and they put different objects and different angles to offset the energy from the Earth's crust coming in there. But a lot of times it doesn't work. So you have to be very careful about that. So anyhow, we're right out of time. So we're going to be talking again on the second show on the continue our discussion on geopathic stresses that can affect your body. We'll see you on the next show.